You know, Serge, he gets stuck in his ways a little bit sometimes. It's hard to convince him otherwise. Yeah. I think we got it, yeah? So weird. Why would it? Oh, now you got it pointed, right?
What's that?
That looks pretty good.
Yeah, no, actually the 3 presses I
got you in the right spot. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Can it zoom in a little more than that or no?
Let's see. A bit of a delay.
Yeah, you have to wait and see.
Yeah.
It's like 40 seconds or something. It's pretty substantive. I hope we get some people actually in the sanctuary, and I'm not singing to a live stream, although that feels very familiar at this point.
Say it again?
I said I hope we get people in the sanctuary, and I'm not singing to a live stream.
Yeah.
Same here.
I was
Right, you know, at least you can see their faces. In the
Yes.
live stream, you really don't know if you're just putting on a show.
Although I will say, like, I walked home from here and I've had people on the street stop me and say, hey, I was just watching the live stream.
Oh, really?
Oh.
That's funny.
He walks away with handcuffs.
Well, she said that, like, it was something like her mom was at her house or, you know, it was something at her mom, so they were watching the live stream.
I was just probably not the best time to be sarcastic.
Oh, you know, I don't care.
The question is, do I want to sing in a different mask? I can't believe I missed all this stuff. Well, there's no name here.
Cantor, how's this?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's like, we could even do a little notch more. Just because it's like, I mean, unless, and maybe we could do a little and then maybe swivel it a little bit more just to catch Miriam as well.
Sure.
Oh, I don't know if you can catch me.
Do you not want to be caught?
Well, I mean,
You're in other live streams. I've seen you, like in
this is like the just edge of me. Yeah.
historical ones, yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to keep fidgeting with it
No,
until,
I get you,
you know.
It's fine, it's all good.
But Miriam, I did want to like include you in the framing of it,
Especially
overall.
there's
Yeah. Exactly, but,
It's Shabbos!
am I okay with it not being?
Oh, I don't care. Yeah, either way, it's fine. Okay, yeah, that sounds a little crazy.
This is not my favorite mask, but it makes it so much easier to sing, so I will wear it.
Bit of a bulky one.
Yeah, it's a singer's mask. It's hilarious. I look like a duck, but you breathe so much easier in it. So considering I have to sing a bunch of things today, I feel like it'll make my life easier if I can just get into it without killing myself.
Can I get you anything? Water?
I think I've got plenty of water actually. Thank you so much. I think we're all good.
Miriam, what about yourself?
Thanks for fixing the live stream. I didn't even notice the camera wasn't pointed the right way.
Well, I was told that this Saturday we would have, the power cut to the building, which is why it resets, but not today.
Yeah.
Not in the last couple of
That's
days.
weird. I wonder when the power must have gone off or something. It
Yeah.
must have had an outage,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Is that what it does? If there's an outage, it goes to the corner?
Yeah, exactly. Every time the
Interesting.
power gets cut to the camera, it'll reset its position.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, well, that's good to know.
Looks good now.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Back to,
Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right, yeah, I mean, it looks ridiculous, but it feels so much better. I feel like I can hear myself now.
No, I know.
It's just crazy. I feel like I am gonna drink some water. Ugh. Okay. And we don't have, well, we have a minute. I'm gonna just run down to the ladies' room. I'll be right back. from old age, or? I'm guessing he's got to be ancient, right?
Yeah, I think he's still working. I know somebody who saw him the other day.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. Wow. That's sad. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. We'll be a small group tonight and probably with some extra people on the live stream. But I've prepared a treat, I hope, for the ones who are here. So have a seat, please. Okay, good. All right. Give it another minute. How was everyone's Thanksgiving?
Lovely. I hope yours was too.
It was very nice. Very nice. And I didn't overeat. It was a lot of variety, but I didn't overeat.
The best part is what's left.
I know, the leftovers are the best part. They really are. They really are. Shabbat Shalom, welcome. Although I have to say, we had a Friendsgiving this year with people who didn't have anywhere else to go, and a lot of them were young, you know, transplants to New York, and they ate all my mac and cheese and my mashed potatoes. So I was a little bit annoyed that I should have made more. But it was good. It was very good. Well, we're at past the half hour, so I want to welcome you all. I'll get started, and if people continue to trickle in, then it's a joy. And welcome everyone on the live stream. Shabbat Shalom and Happy Thanksgiving. Today I have the honor of giving a little bit of a Jewish music devar later on, and to supplement it, I've inserted a few Sephardic songs, some of which are familiar because we do some Sephardic songs regularly in the service, and some of which might be new into the service, but there's plenty of familiar songs too. So I hope you learn something and enjoy it, and we're just going to begin with a nigun. Begin our service with lighting candles. I'll light the shamash and lift him, but anybody who'd like to light the candles, we're going to sing a special Sephardi melody for the blessing. But if anyone would like the honor of kindling the Shabbat lights, come on up. Please. Barbara, would you like to come? Lovely. Thank you so much. Amen. Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you. Watch your step coming back now.
Okay. Going down is the other foot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה לה יא לה 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 יא לה 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 לה. It was written by one of my Sephardi colleagues. And we're going to continue with a little reading to introduce Shabbat on page 9 of your Sidurim. Let's read together. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We turn to page 12 for a traditional Sephardi setting of the Chunaranana, the top of the page. Lechu neranana l'Adonai, nari al tzur yishenu, nekadma fanav b'todah, b'zmirot nari alo, nekadma fanav b'todah, b'zmirot nari alo. We continue with this poem for Kabbalat Shabbat, Lecha Dodi, on page 20, and it's our custom to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And for the last verse, we rise and welcome Shabbat as it joins us in our celebration. לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקווה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקווה לה התעוררי כי בארך קומי אורי שדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה עליך דודי לקראת שלה פני שבת נקבל לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבל. I invite you to rise and turn and face the door if you're able to do so in body or in spirit as we welcome Shabbat to enter. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקווה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקווה. Take a moment, as is our custom, to greet the people around you. Say Shabbat Shalom. You may be seated when you're done greeting. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone on the live stream. So we turn to page 22 and we sing the psalm that is designated for Shabbat itself, a psalm that highlights the gratitude we should feel as we enter Shabbat, that it's something we embrace as we prepare our hearts for the period of time that we set aside as special from the week. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat on page 22. מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בחינות מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך במעשה ידיך ארנן מה גדול מעשיך אדוני מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. So I invite you, if you're able to, in body or in spirit, to rise one more time as we recite the Reader's Kaddish on page 26. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא וימרו amen. We continue with the call to worship the Baruch Hu on page 28. Baruch Hu et Adonai be seated. Let's read together on page 30. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on page 32. We sing about God's everlasting love. Ahavot olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachveinu נשיח בחוקך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, באורך ימינו, ובהנהגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Israel, Adonai continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם Emet. Let's read together at the top of page 39. This kavanah helps us set our hearts in a right intention for Michamocha. At the top of 39, together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we stood at Sinai's foot. Wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. We continue on the top of page 40 with Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Evadim Adonai Mi Chamocha Nedar Bakodesh Norad Hilot Osefele Norad Hilot Osefele Malchutecha Rahu Banecha Bokei Yam Lifnei Moshe Umiriam Zeli Anu Ve'ameru Adonai Yimloch Leolam Ba'ereyam Bye Bye Bim Bibi Bam Yeva Bye Bye Bim Bam I Bye Bye Bim Bibi Bam Yeva Bye Bye Bim Bam Yai Lai 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 Yeva Bye Bye Bim Bam I Lai 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 Yai Lai Lai Bim Bam ונאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. We continue on page 42 with this prayer that we say at night about being protected with God's presence, God's Shekhinah above us as we are our most vulnerable when we sleep. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shamreinu l'chayim. Frost aleinu uvoeinu l'chayim u'l'shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, O Adonai, הפורש סוכת שלום, O Adonai, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. continue on page 44 with this song that reminds us how we are connected with fellow Jews all over the world tonight, although different time zones, but by making Shabbat set apart from the other days. It's our day of rest. V'shamru, and this is a setting by a Sephardi colleague of mine with a little bit of Sephardi flair. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, וביום השביעי, וביום השביעי, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, לדורותם, לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם. So we're going to rise for tefillah on page 46. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevii geula livnei v'nehem למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated as we continue with English reading on page 55. Yes, 52. No, 55, sorry. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue on page 57 in the middle of the page, ever-present one. May we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. And on page 59, top of the page, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. And we conclude the tefillah with a prayer for peace on the top of page 60. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai Hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Take a moment for personal prayer. You can use the words provided in the Siddur or just the words of your heart for just a few moments. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. Los bíblicos cantan con suspiros de amor. Los bíblicos cantan con suspiros de amor. Mi neshama y mi ventura está en tu poder. Mi neshama y mi ventura está en tu poder. It's always good to start a sermon about song with a song. That was a traditional Ladino peace love song, Los Bilbilicos. So tonight I'm going to share some outline of the Jews of the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. Jews have been living there since as far back as the Romans, but perhaps even as far back as the time of Solomon, roughly 1,000 years BCE. Throughout their time, there were periods of oppression, like the time of the Visigoth rule, which were Arian Christians, who ordered them all to become Catholic. This was 500, 600 CE. And times of relative prosperity, like during the rules of the Muslim Moors from 8th century to about 11th century. They had much freedom. It was in fact during this particular golden age under the Moors when many famous Jewish figures contributed to making this a flourishing period for Jewish thought. These included, among others, Moses Maimonides. Islamic culture also influenced these Jews at that time. Muslim and Jewish customs and practices became intertwined. For example, Arabic was used for prayers rather than Hebrew or Spanish. Before entering the synagogue, Jews washed their hands and feet, which is a practice done before entering a mosque. Arab melodies were used for Jewish songs, and Jews wore clothing style of their Moorish neighbors, although they were not allowed to wear silk or furs. However, things began to decline at the end of this time, and although Jews continued to work as moneylenders, jewelers, cobblers, tailors, and tanners, They had to wear distinguishing clothing, such as a yellow turban. Christians conquered Toledo in 1098, and both Jews and Muslims were involved in the cultural, economic, intellectual, financial, and political life of Christian Spain. But by the mid-13th century, the Christians controlled most of Spain and increasingly forced Jews to convert to Christianity. Those who converted became known as marranos, meaning pig, or New Christians, conversos. Marranos are also known as crypto-Jews because they taught their children and practiced Judaism in secret. Finally, in the late 1400s, and out of the fear that if the Jews remained in Spain, they would influence new converts to Christianity, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella decided that the Jewish community was expendable. In 1492, Isabella and Ferdinand commanded that all Jews who refused to convert to Christianity be expelled from Spain. Jews were given 4 months to leave Spain and were forced to sell their houses and businesses at low prices. It's estimated that 100,000 Jews left Spain at this time. The expulsion from Spain is commemorated every year by all Jews on the holiday of Tisha B'Av in the summer, the 9th of Av. Many Spanish Jews settled in Portugal, which allowed the practice of Judaism, but in 1497, just 5 years later, Portugal also expelled its Jews. Flori Jagoda, a Bosnian-born guitarist and accordionist who brought the traditional ballads of her Sephardic ancestors and the melodies of the Ladino language to American audiences through performances and recordings, died in January 29th, just this past year, at a memory care center in Alexandria, Virginia. She was 97. And this song, La Llave de España, describes the experience of sharing one precious item from this experience. In fact, the only object her ancestors were able to take from their homes in Spain was the key to the house. This key, a symbol of what they lost and what they chose to always remember, became a precious item passed down in families like hers through generations. ¿Dónde está la llave? La llave en cajón. ¿Dónde está la llave que estaba en cajón? Mis nonos la trujeron con grande dolor de su casa de España, de España, de su casa de España, de España. Sueños de España, sueños de España. ¿Dónde está la llave que estaba en cajón? Mis nonos la trujeron con grande amor. Dijeron a los fillos, esto es el corazón de nuestra casa de España, de España, de nuestra casa de España, de España. Sueños de España, sueños de España. ¿Dónde está la llave que estaba en cajón? Mis nonos la trujeron con grande amor. La dieron a los nietos a meterla a cajón. Nuestra llave de España, de España. Nuestra llave de España, de España. Sueños de España. Sueños de España. The Jews that trace their ancestry back to this expulsion from Spain are known as Sephardim, for the Hebrew word for Spain, Sepharad. In the first Sephardi diaspora, a large number of Jews settled in North Africa and in the Ottoman Empire, especially Turkey and Greece. Spanish exiles brought with them their unique culture, old Spanish dress, food, and customs. They maintained their own schools and community services and their language, Ladino. Many of these immigrants continue to speak Ladino until now. It was a language frozen in time, 14th century Castilian Spanish with Hebrew syntax and words. It was written in a unique form of Hebrew script, now preserved as Rashi script. Rashi is an acronym for Rabbi Shlomo Yitzchaki, whose commentary, without exaggeration, is considered the foremost biblical commentary to this very day. Upon the advent of the printing press, the first Jewish work printed and dated is Rashi's commentary on the 5 books of Moses, published on February 5th, 1475, in Reggio Calabria by a Sephardic Jew named Abraham Garton. The printer created and used a new typeface based on existing Sephardic semi-cursive handwriting. The practice has endured to this day, and so Sephardic script is now known as Rashi script. A Marrano diaspora took place a century later. Some Marranos had settled in Portugal and eventually moved to Holland, where they were allowed to outwardly practice Judaism. Many settled in Western Europe and moved to the Americas. Marranos who settled in Latin America continued practicing crypto-Judaism for many years because Spain began an inquisition in its New World colonies. I don't know if anyone's ever visited the synagogue in St. Thomas or in Curaçao, where the floor is sand. There are Sephardi synagogues that are hundreds of years old, and the sand was designed to disguise the sound of the prayers. And to this day, I have a colleague who just started working there a couple of years ago at the Sephardi synagogue in Curaçao, and she says that even to this day, they're a very secretive community. They don't want an online presence. You know, it's lived with them, this idea of being in hiding. But what defines Sephardic culture? Sephardic tradition is a system of values, institutions, ethnic traits, and attitudes that were evolved among Jews living within the orbit of the Islamic world. Therefore, it would be wrong to assume that the Sephardic culture is a kind of Jewish culture dipped in some Spanish culture. In order to have a better perception of the Sephardic culture, it must be framed in terms of a diaspora, or the existence of an identified population that feels that it's away from its homeland, however imagined, however distant, in time and space. And when a people is displaced over and over again, its entire identity lives inside its food, its customs, and of course, its music. That music becomes influenced by the music of their hosts. And so now we have no way of knowing what Sephardi music really sounded like in Spain, nor do we know the original authorship of many older Sephardi songs. The music we have access to reflects the diaspora evolution. Following the expulsion, Judeo-Spanish songs developed in 2 directions: ballads, inspired by the Bible and religious rituals, and songs of love and the human life cycle. This song that I'm going to sing next is called La Rosa y el Sauce. It's written by Carlos Guastavino, who was born in Argentina in 1912. His compositions were clearly influenced by Argentine folk music. This song is about a rose that grows and entwines itself with a willow tree. The tree falls in love with the rose. One day, a precocious girl comes and picks the rose, leaving the willow tree to forever mourn its lost love, hence Weeping Willow.
La rosa se iba abriendo, abrazada al sauce. Apasionado,
This next song, El novio no quiere dinero, is an old traditional Ladino song about a groom that doesn't want money or jewels, only his bride with her beautiful face of joy and mazal bueno. This setting is by the art song composer Alberto Hemsi. Hemsi was born in 1898 in Turgutlu in the Ottoman Empire, which is an area in modern-day Turkey. Alberto Hemsi's family roots can be traced back to the Sephardic Jews of the Iberian Peninsula. Hemsi dedicated more than 17 years of his life to collecting traditional Sephardi chants throughout the former Ottoman Empire, after he was told that there was no music genre such as Sephardi. And he went particularly to Smyrna, Salonika, Thessaloniki, Rhodes, Istanbul, and Alexandria. And at the end of his travels, Hemsi wrote out harmonizations for piano of 60 traditional melodies, published in 10 books known as Coplas Sephardis. We still have access to those. His work is responsible for many of these pieces of music being documented and preserved, and enabled the recognition of Sephardi music as a genre. El novio no quiere dinero.
El novio no quiere dinero, el novio no quiere dinero, quiere a la novia de más al bueno. Yo vengo a ver que gocen ni logren ni tengan mucho bien. Ay, el novio no quiere ducados, ay, el novio no quiere ducados, quiere a la novia de más al alto. Yo vengo a ver que gocen ni logren ni tengan mucho bien. Ay, el novio no quiere manías, ay, el novio no quiere manías, quiere a la novia cara de alegría. Yo vengo a ver que gocen y logren y tengan mucho bien.
This next song is on a biblical subject and is a traditional Ladino piece, also of unknown authorship. It recounts the sight of Moses descending Mount Sinai with the tablets of the Ten Commandments. It goes on to tell how the angels in heaven are jealous of Moses' search for holiness, as he's only flesh and blood, and surely cannot aspire to reach the angels.
Ay, en el midbar vi de relumbrar las tablas de la ley vi de abajar. Y mirad que Señor es Moshe Rabbeinu, que subió abajo a los altos cielos. Los malachim del cielo quieren quemar, nacido de mujer que busca en santidad. Y mirad que Señor es Moshe Rabbeinu, que subió abajo a los altos cielos. Los malachim del cielo tienen por él celo, basar badam que busca en el cielo. Y mirad que Señor es Moshe Rabbeinu, que subió abajo a los altos cielos.
The influence of tango can be heard in Sephardi songs called coplas. Here is one sung by a heartbroken man who is certain that the woman who broke his heart was born without one herself. It is called Goodbye, My Love, Adio Querida.
Tu madre cuando te parió y te quitó el mundo, corazón, ella no te dio para amar segundo corazón. Ella no te dio para amar segundo. Addio, addio querida, no quiero la vida, me la amargaste tú. Addio, addio querida, no quiero la vida, me la amargaste tú. Va busca otro amor, ajarva otras puertas, espera otro ardor, que para mí sos muerta. Espera otro ardor, que para mí sos muerta. Addio, addio querida, no quiero la vida, me la amargaste tú. Addio, addio querida, no quiero la vida, me la amargaste tú. And this last piece is just a little survey of some, there's a lot of music out there. This last piece reflects how the religious themes from the host cultures in the diaspora could intertwine with Jewish stories. This traditional Ladino song is fitting for our season. It describes King Nimrod going out into the fields one night and seeing a holy light above the Jewish quarter. He saw it as a sign that Abraham, our father, who was perhaps the son of God, was about to be born. Cuando el rey Nimrod al campo salía, miraba en el cielo y en la estrellería, vida una inocente en la judería que había de nacer Abraham avinu. Abraham avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Abraham avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Luego a las comadres encomendaba que toda mujer que preñada quedara, si no podría al punto la matar, que había de nacer Abraham avinu. Abraham avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Abraham avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Thank you, Miriam, for preparing all these pieces. Today, Sephardic identity as the Ladino-speaking Sephardim of Turkey and other Balkan countries, they identify as the Spanish and Portuguese Sephardim of Amsterdam, London, New York, and other cities, other U.S. cities. In the Middle East, the Sephardim of Egypt, Iraq, and Syria, and the Sephardim of North Africa, as well as Latin America. Their music has gained in popularity over the last century and continues to be performed and enjoyed by audiences all over the world. So I hope that was eye-opening about the incredible diversity that exists in the Jewish community, the larger Jewish community. And if you want to know more about the incredible diversity in the Jewish community, join my class on Tuesday as we do our second installment of Jewish Music 101. And I've had a request to investigate Indian Jewish music for our third class, which has been actually fascinating. So I didn't even know there was an ancient Indian Jewish community, but there is. So we are going to continue with a blessing for those who are in need of healing. I'm going to share first the names of our community members who are on our community list, and then I'll invite you to also share names if you like. Lori Blum, Chaya Malka Bat Chaya, Gloria Sancho, Jenny St. George, Chava Gittel Bat Frida, Yona Chaya Bat Miriam, Ruth Bat Benjamin Bachava, Steve Brown Inns, Yona Tevya Ben Leibel Vigitte Henya, Renee Fishzone, Moshe Ben Leah, Nancy Lazar, Delroy Aline, Alan Eisner, Max Estroff, Richard Salter, Mike Zavala, Chaika Bat Frida, Chaim, Kim Petchik, Peggy Einhorn, Bruce Shapiro Nigren, Eleanor Shapiro Nigren, Bela Rivka Bat Shmuel Pesach Esther, Sid, Susan Sonkin, David Stephen Cohen, Peter Hort, Donald Perlstein, Ken Coleman Cohen. And anyone in the room who would like to share a name or on live stream, feel free to say a name out loud. May they all find healing of body and in spirit. And we sing a blessing for them, the Misha Berach. The setting that we're going to use tonight is found in the very back of your books. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Misha Berach Imotenu, Sarah Rivka Leah Berachem. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Misha Berach Imotenu, Sarah Rivka Leah Berachem. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well. We continue with a prayer for our country and for the state of Israel. Let's turn to page 258 and read the last paragraph. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. And let us say Amen. Page 259, Avinu Shebashamayim. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who speak peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there, and we say, Amen. We turn to Aleinu, page 283, and we rise if you're comfortable in body or in spirit. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, קדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, עמד מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בחשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Page 287, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We remain standing, as in a moment we will recite the Kaddish for the mourner's Kaddish. I'm going to share the names who are on our community list. Those who are observing Shloshim, who've had a death recently. We are remembering Martin Wexler, remembered by Paul Wexler, Joan Tager, remembered by Stephen Tager and Mary Nance Tager, G. Kenneth Baum, remembered by Rachel Loeb, Inez Horwitz, remembered by Daniel Horwitz, Shari Hyman, Ruth Goodman, remembered by Henry Goodman, Jerome Smith, remembered by Amy Leesman. And those who are observing a yard site on our list, Betty Applestein, remembered by Jamie Stein, Sam Cohen, remembered by Deborah Spire, David Goodman, remembered by William Goodman, Jack Brodsky, remembered by David Brodsky, Mendel Avram, remembered by Moral Avram, Martin Leesman, remembered by Amy Leesman, Sidney Feldman, remembered by Linda Feldman, Ida Sprafkin, remembered by David Sprafkin, Marilyn Shaman, remembered by the BHS community, Herbert Muffson, remembered by Lawrence Muffson, Priscilla Zones, remembered by Hilary Ackerman, Rose Skinner, remembered by Laura Shapiro, Barbara Stein, remembered by Robin Stein DeLuca, Charles Buchholz, remembered by Shara Buchholz, William Perlman, remembered by Deborah Perlman, Marilyn Neubauer, remembered by April Neubauer, Doreen Green, remembered by Laurie Green, Martin Gordon Waldman, remembered by Stephen Waldman, Larry Brilliant, remembered by Alan Brilliant, Eleanor Gervin Riss, remembered by Shana Riss, Martin Green, remembered by Laurie Green, Reuben Bergman, remembered by Daniel Bergman, Esther Malka Grabard, remembered by the BHS community, Margaret Sommer, remembered by Olivia Sommer, Susan Speen, remembered by Adam Speen, Max Barkus, remembered by Gracie Vogel, Dr. Samuel Edward Einhorn, remembered by Peggy Einhorn, Charlene Wilder Radley, remembered by Dahlia Radley Kingsley, Lily Weinstein, remembered by Holly Ojalvo, Emma E. Shapiro, remembered by Robert Weiss, Libby Shapire, remembered by Benjamin Shack, Beth Ann Morofsky, remembered by Shelley Goodman, Harold Cooper, remembered by Merrill Hirschland, Charlotte Leibowitz, remembered by Joel Nowak, Gladys Zagnit, remembered by Stuart Zagnit, Charlotte Leibowitz, remembered by Wendy Leibowitz, and Janice Kornfeld, remembered by Miss Stephanie Koenig. If I mispronounced any names, please correct me, and it was inadvertent. And I invite you to share names that are in your hearts in this moment. May their memories always be for a blessing. We recite the mourner's Kaddish on page 296. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, be'amad yivrach chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudeshat b'richu. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. May the one who causes peace on high to bring peace to all of us from heaven, for us and all Israel. And we sing Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, oh yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. You may be seated. We have a lot of things going on in the community. Was there a Shabbat daf? Did you guys pick up a Shabbat daf? And there isn't one there? Fine. So I will announce my class on Tuesday. There are a tremendous amount of Hanukkah events going on. Hanukkah begins Sunday, and sunsets around 4:30. So we're having candle lightings most nights at that time. Check the website, please, as there are many ways. I believe Sunday's on Zoom, but then every other day of the week we're in person. Even next Saturday we have a Havdalah and a candle lighting in the synagogue, and then there's some wonderful events on Sunday, including another hard hat tour if you want to see how things are developing next door. And we're welcoming new members at Rabbi Lip's house on the last day of Hanukkah. So it's going to be a lovely week of bringing light into the world at a time when we are having very long nights and very little light during the day. So it's always a lovely ritual to watch those candles add up every night, and if you come, we can do it as a community. So I apologize if I've missed any important events, but I encourage you to check the website as we keep it up to date with everything that's going on. And we're going to finish, before we make Kiddush and Motzi outside in the Oneg room, with, of course, one more Sephardic song. On page 327, is Sephardic Ladino Ein Kelohenu. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Mich Eloheinu, mich Adonenu, mich Malkeinu, mich Moshienu, ¿quién como nuestro Dios? ¿Quién como nuestro Señor? ¿Quién como nuestro Rey? ¿Quién como nuestro Salvador? No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Tú sos nuestro Dios, tú sos nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please return your Sidurim over to the wall and join me in the Oneg room to make Kiddush and Motzi. Thank you.